I always knew I was the family afterthought, but I never expected them to put it in writing. My name is Ruby, and I'm 29 years old. For most of my life, I've been what my parents call the responsible one, which is family code for the one who gets screwed over because she can handle it. While my younger sister Lindsay got birthday parties with pony rides and college tuition paid in full, I got a pat on the head and, "You'll figure it out, Ruby, you always do." The thing is, I did figure it out. I built an e-commerce business from my cramped studio apartment, working 18-hour days while Lindsay posted Instagram stories from Cabo. But my parents never asked about my work, never celebrated my success. Why would they? I wasn't the golden child. That was Lindsay's job. "Ruby, honey, can you come over Sunday?" Mom's voice crackled through my phone last week. "We need to have a family meeting." I should have known something was up. Family meetings in the Hunt household only happened when my parents needed to announce another financial gift to Lindsay, or explain why I needed to be understanding about some new slight. I arrived at my childhood home, a modest 3-bedroom ranch in suburbia, to find Lindsay and her new husband Landon already seated at the dining room table. Lindsay looked radiant in her designer sweater, her engagement ring catching the light as she gestured animatedly. Landon nodded along, his trust fund smile never wavering. "There's our Ruby." Dad stood up, his arms wide for a hug that felt more obligatory than warm. "How's the little business going?" "Little business?" "Right. The little business that netted me more last year than his accounting firm, but sure." "It's going well, Dad." Mum emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray of her famous chocolate chip cookies, the ones she only made for special occasions. My stomach dropped. This was definitely bad news disguised as good news. "Sit, sit." Mum arranged herself at the head of the table like she was chairing a board meeting. "We have some exciting news to share." Lindsay practically bounced in her seat. "Should I tell her? Or do you want to?" "We'll tell her together," Dad said, reaching for Mum's hand. The united front. Another bad sign. Mum cleared her throat. "Ruby, your father and I have made a decision about the house." I felt my chest tighten. "What kind of decision?" "We're selling it!" Lindsay burst out, unable to contain herself. "Isn't that amazing? Mom and Dad are finally going to downsize and enjoy their retirement. We found a lovely little condo downtown," Mom added, "much more manageable for us." I looked around the dining room where I'd eaten thousands of meals, done homework at this very table, hidden under it during thunderstorms. "You're selling the house." "Now, before you get upset," Dad jumped in, "we want you to know that we're splitting the proceeds fairly between you girls." Fairly. That word had lost all meaning in this family years ago. "The market is incredible right now," Mum continued. "We already have a buyer lined up. Cash offer, no contingencies. We should clear about $200,000 after closing costs." My mind raced. $100,000 would be life-changing money for most people. For me, it would be a nice bonus, but not life-changing. Still, it was my inheritance, my piece of the family legacy. That's great," I managed. "When do you close?" "Next Friday," Lindsay clapped her hands. "And the best part is, Landon and I can really use our half right now. We're looking at this amazing house in Westfield, and the down payment is exactly what we need." "Wait. Your half?" Mom and Dad exchanged a look. "Well, honey," Mom said carefully, "Lindsay and Landon are just starting out. They need the money more than you do right now." "You're giving them my share?" "Now, Ruby." Dad's voice took on that patronizing tone I knew so well. "You're doing so well with your little online thing. You don't need the money like they do." I stared at them. "My little online thing?" "You know what we mean," Mum waved her hand dismissively. "You're so independent, so capable. You'll be fine. You always are." The words hit me like a physical blow. "You'll be fine. You always are." The family motto that had justified every slight, every missed birthday, every time they chose Lindsay over me. Besides, Lindsay added, you don't even have kids or a husband to think about. What would you even do with $100,000? I felt something cold settle in my chest. Can I see the paperwork? What paperwork? Dad asked. The sale documents. I'd like to see them. Mum hesitated. Ruby, I don't think... I'd like to see them. Please. With obvious reluctance, Dad retrieved a manila folder from the kitchen counter. I flipped through the pages, my heart sinking with each signature, each date, each legal stamp that made it official. They'd already signed everything. The house was sold. The money was gone. My name appeared nowhere in the documents. You've already given it all to Lindsay, I said quietly. Ruby, honey, Mum started. All of it. The entire $200,000. Now, that's not exactly... It says right here. Proceeds to be distributed to Lindsay Hunt Mackenzie upon closing. I looked up at their guilty faces. You called this meeting to tell me you sold my childhood home and gave my inheritance to my sister. You'll be fine, Mum said again, but her voice was smaller now. You always are. I closed the folder and stood up. You're right, Mum. I will be fine. I just didn't tell them how fine I was going to be. I drove straight to Summer's apartment after leaving my parents' house. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. Ruby? Summer opened her door in pyjamas, took one look at my face and pulled me inside. What happened? They sold the house. The words came out flat, emotionless. Gave everything to Lindsay. Summer's jaw dropped. Everything? Like your share too? There was no share. It was never mine to begin with, apparently. I collapsed onto her couch. $200,000, Summer. Gone. Those absolute... Summer caught herself, then sat beside me. Okay, we're going to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. The papers are signed. It's done. No. Summer's voice was fierce. No, it's not done. Not by a long shot. She grabbed her laptop. What's the address of the house? I gave it to her, watching as she pulled up real estate listings. Summer, what are you... Here it is. Charming 3BR ranch, move-in ready, cash offers preferred. She looked at me. Ruby, how much do you have in your business accounts? Why? Just tell me. I hesitated. I'd never told anyone the real numbers, not even Summer. Enough. Enough for what? A car, a vacation, a house? Summer. A house, Ruby? I met her eyes. Yes. Enough for a house. She grinned, and it was predatory. Then, we're buying your house back. That's insane. Is it? You said they haven't closed yet, right? The sale isn't final until Friday. Right, but... So, technically, it's still on the market. Anyone can make an offer. I stared at her. You want me to buy my own childhood home? I want you to buy it out from under them. Cash offer, no contingencies, close in a week. Can you do that? My mind started racing. I'd need a lawyer, someone discreet. What about that guy from college? Ezra? Didn't he go into real estate law? Ezra. I hadn't thought about him in years, but Summer was right. We'd kept in touch sporadically through social media. You think he'd help? Only one way to find out. I called him that night. Ezra picked up on the second ring. Ruby Hunt. Now, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. Hi, Ezra. I need a favour. A big one. I'm listening. I explained the situation, watching Summer pace her living room as I talked. Ezra was quiet for a long moment after I finished. So, you want to buy your parents' house anonymously, and then what? I don't know yet. I just know I can't let them get away with this. Ruby, this is nuclear. You understand that, right? There's no coming back from something like this. There was no coming back the moment they decided I didn't matter. Another pause. How much are we talking about? Whatever it takes. I can go up to 400 if I need to. Jesus, Ruby, what kind of business are you running? The kind that makes enough money to buy houses, apparently. Ezra laughed, but it wasn't entirely comfortable. Okay, I can set up an LLC, make the offer through that. Keep your name completely out of it until you're ready. How fast can you move? If you're serious about this, I can have papers ready tomorrow. We could make an offer by Wednesday. Do it. After I hung up, Summer was staring at me. You're really going to do this? They've spent my entire life telling me I'll be fine, that I'll figure it out. Well, I'm figuring it out. What happens after you buy it? I don't know yet. But I was starting to get ideas. The next morning, I drove past the house on my way to work. There was already a pending sale sign in the yard. My parents were probably celebrating, counting their money, planning Lindsay's housewarming party. My phone buzzed with a text from Mum. Ruby, honey, I hope you understand we only want what's best for the family. You're so strong and independent. We know you'll be fine. Love you. I screenshotted the message and sent it to Summer with the caption, "Evidence for later." She texted back immediately. Your family is about to learn what fine actually looks like. Wednesday afternoon, Ezra called. Offers in, 400,000, cash, 7-day close. I made it look like an investment company from out of state. And they accepted. Your parents' realtor called back within an hour. Apparently, your folks are thrilled someone wants to pay so much over asking. I felt a cold satisfaction settle in my chest. When do we close? Friday, same day as the original buyer, ironically. Perfect. That evening, I got a call from Dad. Ruby, you'll never believe what happened. We got a better offer on the house. Some investment company offered 400,000. Can you believe it? Wow, Dad, that's amazing. Your mother's over the moon. This means even more money for Lindsay and Landon's new place. I'm sure they're thrilled. They are. Lindsay's already picking out furniture. She says this is like a fairy tale come true. Fairy tales, I said slowly, usually have interesting endings. What's that, honey? Nothing, Dad. I'm happy for you. I wasn't lying. I was happy, just not in the way he thought. Friday morning, I sat in Ezra's office as he slid the deed across his desk. Congratulations, Ruby. You're now the proud owner of 1247 Maple Street. I stared at my name on the legal documents. It's really mine? Every square inch. What's your first act as the new homeowner? I pulled out my phone and scrolled to my parents' contact information. I think it's time to introduce myself to my tenants. Ezra raised an eyebrow. Tenants? Well, they're living in my house now, aren't they? I waited exactly 1 week before making my move. 7 days of watching my parents celebrate their windfall. 7 days of Lindsay posting photos of furniture shopping. 7 days of building up to this moment. Ezra handled the legal notice. Professional, cold, exactly what I wanted. Dear current occupants, the letter began. This is to inform you that the property at 1247 Maple Street has been purchased by Redbird Holdings, LLC. As the new owners, we require the property to be vacated within 30 days of this notice. I was sitting in my car across the street when Dad got the mail. I watched him flip through the stack, pause at the official envelope, then tear it open right there on the front porch. His face went white. He stumbled back into the house, and within minutes I could see figures moving frantically behind the windows. Mum appeared at the front door, then Dad again, both of them gesturing wildly. My phone rang. Ruby? Dad's voice was shaking. Ruby, something terrible has happened. What's wrong, Dad? The house. Someone bought the house. But that's impossible. We already sold it to that investment company. I don't understand. Neither do we. The investment company, they bought it and now they're kicking us out. They want us gone in 30 days. I let the silence stretch. That's awful, Dad. We don't know what to do. We already gave Lindsay the money. We can't get it back. She's already put a deposit on her new place. We thought we'd have time to find somewhere else, but 30 days? Have you tried calling them? Maybe they'd be reasonable. The lawyer won't even take our calls. Says all communication has to go through their legal team. Ruby, we might end up homeless. I'm sure it won't come to that. Your mother's having a panic attack. She keeps saying this is karma for something, but I don't know what she means. I almost smiled. Mum always was superstitious. After I hung up, I drove to the coffee shop where I'd arranged to meet my neighbour, Mrs. Rivera. She'd lived next door to my parents for 15 years and had watched the whole Hunt family drama unfold from her front garden. Ruby. She slid into the booth across from me, her weathered hands wrapped around a steaming mug. I heard about the house. News travels fast. In a neighbourhood like ours? Your parents have been knocking on doors all morning, asking if anyone knows anything about this Redbird company. And I told them I'd never heard of it. She studied my face. But I have a feeling you have. I met her gaze. What makes you say that? Because 30 years ago, my husband's family did something similar to me. Cut me out of an inheritance I'd been promised my whole life. Gave it all to his golden boy brother instead. What did you do? Nothing. I was young, scared, didn't know I had options. She leaned forward. But if I had known then what I know now, if I'd had the resources you have, you would have fought back. Damn right I would have. She sipped her coffee. The question is, what happens after you win? I don't know what you mean. Sure you do. You buy the house, you kick them out, you get your revenge. Then what? You think they'll just disappear? You think Lindsay won't come crying to you when her marriage falls apart? You think your parents won't spend the rest of their lives trying to guilt you into fixing this? I hadn't thought that far ahead. Maybe that's a bridge I'll cross when I come to it. Maybe. Or maybe you should decide now what kind of person you want to be when this is over. That evening, I got a voicemail from Mum. Her voice was barely a whisper. Ruby, honey, it's Mom. I know you're probably busy with work, but could you call me back? We're in a really bad situation here, and I don't know who else to turn to. The new owners of the house, they won't even talk to us. They just want us out. 30 days, Ruby. We've lived here for 28 years, and they want us out in 30 days. Her voice cracked. I keep thinking there must be some mistake. People don't just buy houses to kick families out, do they? There has to be some reason, some explanation. Maybe if we could just talk to them, explain our situation. A long pause. Your father thinks we should get a lawyer, but we can't afford one now. Not after we gave everything to Lindsay. I know we haven't always been fair to you, sweetheart. I know we've asked a lot of you over the years, but you're the only one who might be able to help us figure this out. You're so smart about business things. Maybe you could make some calls, see if there's anything we can do. Another pause, longer this time. I love you, Ruby. I know I don't say it enough, but I do. Please, call me back. I played the message 3 times, each time hearing something different in her voice. Desperation, fear, and underneath it all, the same assumption that had defined my entire life. That I would fix this for them, that I would save them, just like I always did. I deleted the voicemail and turned off my phone. Some problems, I was learning, were meant to stay broken. Sunday, dinner. The Hunt family tradition that had survived divorces, job losses, and every other crisis life threw at us. Mum had called 6 times before I finally answered. Ruby, please, we need you here, as a family. So here I was, sitting at the same dining room table where they'd announced my disinheritance 3 weeks ago. The irony wasn't lost on me that I was now technically eating in my own house. Mom had outdone herself with the spread. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, fresh rolls. Comfort food for uncomfortable times. Dad sat hunched over his plate, looking like he'd aged 5 years in the past week. Lindsay and Landon were notably absent. "Where's the golden couple?" I asked, cutting into my roast. "Lindsay's upset," Mom said carefully. "She thinks we should have handled the house situation differently." "How so?" Dad looked up. "She thinks we should have kept some of the money back, for emergencies." "But you gave it all to her." "We wanted to help them get started," Mom said defensively. "Young couples need support." "And now you need support." The silence stretched. Mom's fork clinked against her plate. "Ruby," Dad finally said, "we were hoping you might consider letting us stay with you. Just temporarily. Until we figure out our next move." I almost choked on my potatoes. "Stay with me? Your apartment's small, but we could make it work," Mom jumped in. "I could sleep on the couch. Your father could take the floor." "Mum, stop. We're desperate, Ruby. We've looked at apartments, but everything requires first month, last month security deposit. We don't have that kind of cash anymore." "What about Lindsay? Can't you stay with her?" Mum and Dad exchanged a look. Their new place it's not really set up for guests. Translation. Lindsay said no. She's stressed about the move, Dad said weakly. The new mortgage, Landon's job situation. Landon doesn't have a job? Another look between my parents. He's between opportunities, Mum said. "So, let me get this straight. You gave $200,000 to an unemployed man and his wife, and now you're homeless." "Ruby, please," Mum's voice cracked. "We know we made mistakes, but we're family. Family helps family." I set down my fork. "Family helps family." "That's interesting, Mum. Tell me, when I was working 3 jobs to pay for college, was that family helping family?" "That's different. When I asked for help with my business loan and you said I needed to learn independence, was that family helping family?" "Ruby, you don't understand. When I got food poisoning last year and spent 2 days in the hospital alone because you were at Lindsay's baby shower, which, by the way, was for a pregnancy that turned out to be a false alarm, was that family helping family?" Mum's face was red. "You never asked for help. You always said you were fine." "Because every time I wasn't fine, you made it clear that was my problem to solve." Dad held up his hands. "Let's all just calm down." "No, Dad, I'm tired of calming down. I'm tired of being the understanding one. I'm tired of being the one who's always fine." I stood up and walked to the kitchen, returning with a manila envelope. The same kind Dad had used to show me the sale documents. "What's that?" Mum asked. "Something you might want to read carefully." I slid the envelope across the table. Dad opened it with shaking hands, pulled out the papers and started reading. His face went from confusion to shock to something that looked like terror. "I don't understand," he whispered. "What is it?" Mum grabbed the papers. "What does this say?" "It says," I said calmly, "that Redbird Holdings LLC is owned by Ruby Hunt. It says that I am your new landlord." The silence was deafening. Mum's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Dad just stared at the papers. "You," Mum finally managed, "you bought the house." "I did." "But how? Where did you get that kind of money?" "From my little online business, the one you've never bothered to ask about." Dad looked up at me, his eyes wide. "Ruby, this is poetic justice?" "This is cruel," Mum said, her voice rising. This is vindictive and cruel, and this is what you taught me, Mum. You taught me that family takes care of themselves first. You taught me that some people matter more than others. You taught me that I should always be fine on my own. I walked toward the front door. Well, congratulations. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm the homeowner. Ruby, wait! Dad scrambled after me. We can work this out. We can talk about this. I turned back to face them both. You have 23 days left. I suggest you use them wisely. You can't do this to us, Mum said, tears streaming down her face. We're your parents. You're my tenants, I corrected, and you're behind on rent. I walked out of my own childhood home, leaving them sitting at the table with the legal papers scattered between the dinner plates. My phone started ringing before I even reached my car. I didn't answer. My phone didn't stop ringing for 3 days. Calls, texts, voicemails, all from my family, all variations of the same theme: disbelief, anger, and desperate bargaining. I was at my desk Wednesday morning when Lindsay finally showed up at my apartment. She didn't knock. She pounded. Ruby, open this door right now. I looked through the peephole. My sister stood in the hallway, her perfect hair dishevelled, her designer purse clutched like a weapon. I know you're in there. Your car's in the parking lot. I opened the door. Hello, Lindsay? She pushed past me into my living room. What the hell is wrong with you? Good morning to you too. Don't you dare act casual with me. Mum called me crying. Dad can barely speak. Do you have any idea what you've done? I bought a house. You bought their house. You bought Mum and Dad's house and you're kicking them out. Actually, I bought my house. The one they sold without giving me a penny. Lindsay spun around to face me. They didn't owe you anything. You're not married. You don't have kids. What do you need that money for? I needed it because it was mine. Says who? Says 29 years of being told I was part of this family. Lindsay's face was flushed. You are part of this family, but that doesn't mean you get to destroy it when you don't get your way. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just evening the playing field. By making our parents homeless? By giving them the same consideration they gave me. This is insane, Ruby. This whole thing is insane. You can't actually go through with this. I sat down on my couch. Watch me. Fine. You want to play hardball? Let's play hardball. Lindsay pulled out her phone. How much do you want? Excuse me? For the house, how much do you want? I'll buy it from you. With what money? With the money Mom and Dad gave us. I laughed. The money you already spent on your new house? Lindsay's jaw tightened. We can get a loan. Based on Landon's income? Oh wait, he doesn't have one. He's starting a new job next month. Doing what? That's not your business. It is if you want me to accept his employment as collateral. Lindsay sank into my armchair. Ruby, please. I'm begging you, don't do this. Now you're begging. Interesting. What do you want from me? You want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry Mom and Dad always treated you differently. I'm sorry they gave us the money instead of splitting it. I'm sorry, okay? Are you sorry, or are you just sorry you got caught? What's the difference? The difference is whether you actually understand what you did wrong. Lindsay stared at me. What we did wrong? Ruby, we're family. Families help each other. Funny. That's exactly what Mum said. Because it's true. Then where was my help when I needed it? You never needed help. You were always so independent, so capable. I was independent because I had to be, because every time I asked for help, I was told to figure it out myself. That's not. Remember when I got pneumonia sophomore year of college? I called home, barely able to breathe, asking if someone could drive up and take me to the hospital. You know what Mum said? Lindsay was quiet. She said you had a cheerleading competition that weekend and she couldn't miss it. Told me to call an Uber. Ruby, or when I graduated college. Remember that? Oh wait, you don't, because none of you came. Dad had to work, Mum had to take you dress shopping for prom, and you had better things to do. We sent a card. You sent a card with $20 in it. $20, Lindsay, for graduating summa cum laude. Tears were running down Lindsay's face now. I didn't know you felt... You didn't know because you didn't ask. None of you ever asked. My phone buzzed. A text from Summer. How's it going? I showed Lindsay the screen. You know what the difference is between Summer and you? Summer asks how I'm doing and actually listens to the answer. Ruby, I'm listening now. No, you're not. You're trying to figure out how to manipulate me into giving you what you want. Just like always. Lindsay stood up abruptly. Fine. You want to be the victim? Be the victim. But don't expect me to feel sorry for you when you end up alone. I've been alone my whole life, Lindsay. At least now I'm alone by choice. She headed for the door, then turned back. You know what? Mom was right about you. You are cold. You are heartless. And when this is all over, when you're sitting in that empty house with no family left, you'll realise that being right isn't worth being alone. The door slammed behind her. I sat in the silence for a long moment, then picked up my phone and called Ezra. Ruby, how are you holding up? They're starting to panic. Good. That means the pressure's working. Ezra, am I doing the right thing? Do you want the lawyer answer or the friend answer? Friend. As your friend, I think your family had this coming for a long time. As your lawyer, I think you should be prepared for this to get uglier before it gets better. How much uglier? Well, your sister just posted on Facebook about how you're trying to make your parents homeless. It's getting a lot of attention. I closed my eyes. What did she say? Do you really want to know? Tell me. She's painting you as a vindictive daughter who's punishing her parents for loving her sister. She's asking people to share the post to help find your parents a place to live. And it's working. The post has been shared 300 times in the last hour. I hung up and opened Facebook. There it was, Lindsay's post, complete with a photo of our parents looking devastated. The comments were brutal, person after person, calling me heartless, cruel, a disgrace to families everywhere. My phone rang. Summer. Ruby, I just saw... I know. Are you okay? I looked around my quiet apartment, then at the Facebook post destroying my reputation in real time. I'm fine, I said. I'm always fine. The Facebook post went viral overnight. By Thursday morning, I had reporters calling my office, strangers messaging me on LinkedIn, and my apartment building's front desk asking if I wanted security. Ruby Hunt, the daughter who evicted her own parents, was trending on Twitter. I was hiding in my apartment when Summer showed up with coffee and bagels. Okay, this is officially insane, she said, setting breakfast on my kitchen counter. Channel 7 News is parked outside your parents' house. They interviewed 3 neighbours about what a sweet couple your parents are. Did they interview Mrs. Rivera? Actually, yes. She told them to mind their own business and that families have complicated histories. At least someone gets it. Summer sat across from me. Ruby, I have to ask, are you having second thoughts? About what? About all of this. The house, the eviction, the nuclear option. I stared at my untouched bagel. Do you think I should be? I think you should be honest with yourself about what you're really trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to get justice. Are you? Or are you trying to hurt them the way they hurt you? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Ezra. Ruby, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Your parents hired a lawyer. They're claiming elder abuse and trying to get an injunction to stop the eviction. Can they do that? They can try. Their argument is that you're using your financial resources to harm elderly family members who trusted you. Trusted me? They never trusted me with anything. I know, but that's not how they're spinning it. They're saying you manipulated them into selling the house to you under false pretenses. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because technically, you did conceal your identity during the purchase. I felt my stomach drop. Are you saying I could lose? I'm saying we need to be prepared for a fight. Can you come in this afternoon? We need to go over everything. After I hung up, Summer was watching me carefully. What was that about? They're fighting back. Good. Good, Ruby. If they just rolled over and accepted this, it would mean they really didn't care about you at all. The fact that they're fighting means they want to fix this. They want to fix their housing situation. That's not the same thing. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I hope you're proud of yourself. Your parents are good people and you're destroying them. You should be ashamed. Then another. Saw the news story. You're a monster. And another. How can you sleep at night knowing you made your own parents homeless? I'm turning off my phone, I said. Ruby, wait, look at this. Summer showed me her phone. Lindsay posted an update. I read over her shoulder. Update on my parents' situation. Still looking for temporary housing while we figure out next steps. So grateful for everyone's support. Sometimes family disappoints you in ways you never imagined possible. Praying for healing and forgiveness. Praying for healing and forgiveness, I repeated. She's really laying it on thick. The comments are getting worse too. People are calling for boycotts of your business. They don't even know what my business is. They're trying to figure it out. Someone posted that they think you sell something online, and now people are trying to identify your company so they can leave bad reviews. I felt the walls closing in. This is getting out of hand. Maybe that's the point. Maybe this is your family's way of forcing you to back down. By destroying my reputation. By making the cost of revenge higher than you're willing to pay. That evening, I drove past the house. There were news vans parked on the street, and a small crowd of neighbours gathered on the sidewalk. I could see my parents through the front window, talking to what looked like reporters. My phone rang. Dad. Ruby, please. This has gone too far. I didn't call the reporters, Dad. I know you didn't. But you could end this. You could call them off. How? By giving us the house back, by letting us stay. And then what? We all pretend this never happened. We work it out as a family. We had 29 years to work it out as a family. You chose not to. Ruby, I'm begging you. Your mother hasn't slept in 3 days. She's making herself sick over this. She should have thought about that before she gave away my inheritance. We made a mistake. We admit that, but this punishment doesn't fit the crime. Doesn't it? You took my home. I took it back. You cut me out of the family money. I cut you out of the family house. Seems pretty proportional to me. This isn't you, Ruby. This isn't who you are. How would you know who I am, Dad? You never bothered to find out. I hung up and sat in my car, watching the circus outside my childhood home. Mrs. Rivera was standing in her front yard, arms crossed, glaring at the reporters. When she saw my car, she walked over. You okay, honey? I've been better. This is quite a show your sisters put on. I didn't want it to be public. I know you didn't. But now that it is, you need to decide what you're going to do about it. What do you mean? I mean, are you going to let them turn you into the villain of their story? Or are you going to tell your own story? I looked at the reporters, the cameras, the neighbours shaking their heads in disapproval. I don't know if anyone would listen to my story. only one way to find out. Mrs. Rivera patted my car window and walked back to her house, leaving me alone with the biggest decision of my life. The eviction date arrived on a grey Tuesday morning. I sat in my car across the street, watching the moving truck pull up to 1247 Maple Street. My parents had found a small apartment across town. 2 bedrooms, no yard, nothing like the home they'd lived in for 28 years. Dad came out first, carrying a box marked kitchen. He looked smaller somehow, older. Mum followed with a suitcase, her face puffy from crying. Neither of them looked in my direction, but I knew they knew I was there. Lindsay's car pulled up just as the movers started bringing out furniture. She jumped out, her face red with fury, and marched straight toward my car. "Are you happy now?" she screamed through my window. "Are you satisfied?" I rolled it down. "Lindsay, look at them. Look what you've done to them." I looked. Dad was trying to help the movers with his recliner, the one he'd sat in every evening for as long as I could remember. Mum was standing on the front porch, staring at the house like she was trying to memorize it. "They brought this on themselves," I said, but my voice sounded hollow even to me. "They made one mistake, Ruby. One mistake, and you destroyed their entire life." "One mistake?" "Lindsay, this wasn't one mistake. This was a lifetime of mistakes. So you decided to punish them for all of it at once?" A news van pulled up. The reporter I'd seen on TV got out with her cameraman. "Great," Lindsay muttered. "More vultures." The reporter approached my parents. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I saw Mom shake her head and Dad wave them away. They kept filming anyway. "This is sick," Lindsay said. "All of this is sick." She walked back to help our parents, leaving me alone in my car, watching my family's life get packed into boxes. My phone rang. "Summer, how are you holding up?" "I'm watching them move out." And I feel like I'm going to throw up." "Ruby, you can still stop this. You can call Ezra right now and what? Give them the house back? Pretend none of this happened? You could try to find a middle ground." "There is no middle ground, Summer. There never was." I hung up and got out of my car. The reporter spotted me immediately. Ms. Hunt, can we get a statement?" I ignored her and walked toward the house. Mom saw me coming and her face crumpled. "Ruby, please," she whispered. "Please don't make this harder than it already is." "I'm not here to make anything harder." "Then why are you here?" I looked at the house, at the front door I'd walked through thousands of times, at the windows of my childhood bedroom. I wanted to see it. See what? What it looks like when a family falls apart. Dad appeared beside Mum. "Ruby, we need to talk. We've talked enough." "No, we haven't. We've yelled, we've accused, we've hurt each other, but we haven't talked." The reporter was getting closer, her microphone extended toward us. "Not here," I said. "Then where?" I looked at the moving truck, half full of their belongings. Inside, one last time. We walked into the empty house together. The living room looked cavernous without furniture, our voices echoing off the bare walls. "Ruby," Mum started, "I know you think we never loved you. I don't think that. I know you loved me. You just loved Lindsay more." "That's not true." "Mum, please, don't lie to me now. Not here." Dad sat down on the floor, his back against the wall. "We failed you. We know that now. Do you? Or are you just saying that because you want your house back?" "We're saying it because it's true," Mum said. "We got so caught up in trying to help Lindsay that we forgot you needed help too." "I didn't need help. I needed to be seen. I needed to matter. You did matter. You do matter. Then why did you give away my inheritance?" Mum sat down next to Dad. "Because we thought you were strong enough to handle it. We thought Lindsay needed us more." And now we know we were wrong. About everything. I walked to the window that looked out on the backyard. The swing set was still there, rusty and forgotten. Do you remember when I was 7 and I broke my arm falling off that swing? Of course, Dad said. You carried me to the car, drove me to the hospital, stayed with me all night. You told me I was brave, that you were proud of me. You were brave. I wasn't brave, Dad. I was terrified. But I pretended to be brave because that's what you needed me to be. I turned back to face them. I've been pretending to be brave my whole life. Pretending I didn't need you. Pretending I was fine on my own. Pretending it didn't hurt when you chose Lindsay over me again and again. Ruby, I'm tired of pretending. Mum stood up, tears streaming down her face. What do you want from us? Tell us what you want, and we'll do it. I want you to understand that this isn't about the house. This was never about the house. Then what is it about? It's about 29 years of being invisible. It's about being the daughter you only called when you needed something fixed. It's about watching you give Lindsay everything I ever wanted, and being told I should be grateful for the scraps. The front door opened. Lindsay walked in, followed by the reporter and her cameraman. Get out, I said. Ms. Hunt, just a few questions. I said, get out. Lindsay stepped between me and the camera. You heard her. Get out of our house. Actually, I said quietly, it's my house now. The reporter's eyes lit up. So you admit you evicted your own parents? I looked at Mum and Dad, sitting on the floor of their empty home. I looked at Lindsay, standing protectively in front of them. I looked at the camera, recording every word for the evening news. Yes, I said. I evicted my parents, and I'd do it again. The silence that followed was deafening. Ruby, Dad whispered, but I was already walking toward the door. You have until 5 o'clock to finish moving out. After that, you're trespassing. I left them there, my broken family in my empty house, and drove away without looking back. My phone was ringing before I reached the end of the street, but I didn't answer. I was finally, truly alone. And for the first time in my life, that felt exactly right. The house was mine, but it felt like a tomb. I walked through the empty rooms that evening, my footsteps echoing in spaces that had once been filled with family dinners, Christmas mornings, and birthday parties I was never the centre of. The silence was complete. No more phone calls, no more desperate texts, no more family drama. I'd won. So why did victory taste like ash? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw the news. Your parents are staying at the Motel 6 on Highway 9. Thought you should know. Mrs. Rivera. I stared at the message. The Motel 6. My parents, who had owned their home for nearly 3 decades, were living in a roadside motel. I deleted the text and poured myself a glass of wine in my empty kitchen. The doorbell rang at 9 p.m. Through the peephole, I saw Ezra standing on my front porch, holding a bottle of champagne. Congratulations, he said when I opened the door. You did it. Did what? Got your revenge, proved your point, won the war. I let him in, noting how his voice echoed in the hollow space. Doesn't feel much like winning. That's normal. Big victories often feel anticlimactic. He looked around the empty living room. So, what's the plan now? Renovate? Sell? Move in? I don't know. Ruby, you spent $400,000 on this place. You must have some idea what you want to do with it. I sat down on the floor where Dad had been sitting that morning. I wanted them to understand how it felt. To be cut out? To be alone. Ezra sat across from me. And do they understand now? I think so. So, mission accomplished? I looked at him. Really looked at him. Ezra had driven across town at 9 p.m. to celebrate with me. He'd helped me orchestrate this entire plan without asking for anything in return. He'd been there when I needed him. Ezra, Why did you help me do this? Because you asked me to. That's not an answer. He was quiet for a moment. Because I watched my own family treat me like I didn't matter for years. I know what that feels like. And did getting revenge fix it? I never got revenge. I just walked away. Do you regret that? Sometimes. But I also know that revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Thanks for the pep talk. Ruby, I'm not saying you were wrong. Your family treated you terribly. But now what? You've made your point. What comes next? Before I could answer, there was another knock at the door. This time it was Summer, carrying takeout bags and wearing a determined expression. Intervention time, she announced, pushing past me into the house. I brought Chinese food and hard truths. Summer? Nope. We're doing this. She set the bags down in the middle of the empty living room. Ezra, good. You're here. We need to talk sense into our friend. I'm fine, I said automatically. No, you're not. You're sitting alone in an empty house, drinking wine and feeling sorry for yourself. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm enjoying my victory. Bullshit. Summer opened a container of lo mein. You're miserable. You got everything you wanted and you're miserable. What do you want me to say? I want you to admit that this isn't how you thought it would feel. I sat back down on the floor. Fine. It's not how I thought it would feel. How did you think it would feel? Satisfying. Final. Like justice. And instead, it feels empty. Ezra opened his champagne, the cork popping loudly in the hollow room. 2 empty victories. That's not funny, I said. It's a little funny, Summer said, accepting a plastic cup of champagne. Ruby, can I ask you something? Go ahead. What would it take for you to feel like this was actually over? I thought about it. I don't know. Yes, you do. Summer, you know exactly what it would take. You're just afraid to say it. I looked around the empty house, at my 2 friends sitting on the floor eating Chinese takeout, at the space where my family's life used to be. I want them to apologize. Really apologize. Not because they want something from me, but because they understand what they did wrong. And if they did that, I don't know. Maybe we could figure out how to be a family again. A different kind of family, Ezra said. Yeah, one where everyone matters. Summer pulled out her phone. What's your mum's number? Summer? No. Ruby, your parents are living in a motel. Lindsay's marriage is falling apart because they can't afford their new house. Your family is destroyed. You can either let it stay destroyed, or you can try to build something new. What if they don't want to build something new? What if they do? I stared at Summer's phone. What would I even say? Start with hello, Ezra suggested. And then, tell them what you told us, Summer said. That you want them to understand. That you want to matter. That you want to be a family again, but only if it's a real family this time. I took the phone. My mother's number was still in my contacts, still labelled Mom, with a heart emoji I'd added years ago when I still believed things might change. The phone rang twice before she answered. Ruby? Her voice was small, hopeful, terrified. Hi, Mum. Oh, honey, I'm so glad you called. Mum, I need to ask you something. Anything. Do you understand why I did this? Really understand? A long pause. Yes, I think I do. Tell me. Because we made you invisible. Because we took you for granted. Because we loved you. But we didn't show you that your love mattered as much as Lindsay's. I felt tears starting. And because we taught you that you had to be strong and independent and fine all the time, instead of teaching you that you could count on us. Mum, Ruby, I know this doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the business you built. I'm proud of how strong you are, and I'm proud that you finally stood up for yourself, even if it was against us. I was crying now, ugly tears that I'd been holding back for weeks. I don't want to be strong all the time anymore. You don't have to be. Not with us, not anymore. I want to come home, Mom. But I need it to be different this time. It will be different. I promise it will be different. I looked at Summer and Ezra, both watching me with encouraging smiles. Mom, are you and Dad free for dinner tomorrow? We're free. Good. Come to the house at 6, I'll cook. Ruby, we can't afford... Mum, it's my house. You're my guests. After I hung up, Summer raised her plastic cup. To new beginnings. To families that actually act like families, Ezra added. I raised my cup. To being fine on my own terms. We drank champagne and ate Chinese food on the floor of my empty house, and for the first time in weeks, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt like possibility.